Welcome back, guys. Today we are traveling back thousands of years to the incredible world of ancient Egypt. This is going to be a very quick overview of what was an extremely vast, varied country. This civilization flourished along the Nile River in northeastern Africa, creating monumental architecture, complex government systems, and one of the longest lasting cultures in human history. To help us explore this ancient world, we are going to hear from one of Egypt's most famous rulers, Hatshepsut, a powerful pharaoh who ruled during the New Kingdom. Through Hatshepsut's story, we will learn how Egypt's geography, society, religion, and achievements shaped one of the most fascinating civilizations in history. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Miss Bree. I'm an educator, a farmer, an illustrator, a singer, and a grammar nerd. Welcome to the Farm School. Greetings. I am Hatshepsut, Pharaoh of Egypt. Though many rulers before me were kings, I ruled Egypt as a woman and proved that wisdom and leadership are not limited by tradition. During my reign, Egypt prospered through trade, construction, and peace. But to understand my kingdom, you first must understand the land that made Egypt possible, the mighty Nile River. Egypt exists because of the Nile River. Each year, the river floods its banks and leaves behind rich soil, perfect for farming. This predictable cycle allowed Egyptians to grow crops such as barley and wheat, providing food for the entire kingdom. Without the Nile, Egypt would simply be desert. Egypt was surrounded by natural barriers, deserts to the east and west, the Mediterranean Sea to the north, and Nubia to the south. These helped protect ancient Egypt from invasion. Long before my time, Egypt was divided into two lands, Upper Egypt in the south and Lower Egypt in the north. I know that's kind of silly. A great ruler named Menes, also known as Narmer, united these lands into one kingdom. This began the long tradition of the Pharaohs, rulers who governed ancient Egypt for thousands of years. Over these thousands of years, Egypt has passed through several great eras. The Old Kingdom built the Great Pyramids, which were old by the time I became a pharaoh. The Middle Kingdom expanded trade and culture. During the New Kingdom, when I ruled, Egypt became a powerful empire. Now, most Egyptians were farmers. They grew grains like emmer wheat and barley, which were used to make bread and beer. Thanks to the fertile Nile Valley, Egypt often produced more food than it needed, allowing trade and economic stability. Animals were also an important part of ancient Egyptian life. Cattle helped plow the fields, donkeys carried goods along trade routes, sheep and goats provided food, wool, and milk. Even hunting wild animals was a sport enjoyed by Egypt's elite. Egyptian society was carefully structured. At the top stood the pharaoh, who served as both ruler and divine representative. Now you have to picture this kind of like a food pyramid, but instead it's an Egyptian society pyramid, which is fitting because they did invent pyramids. Now below the pharaoh were the priests and nobles who managed the kingdom. Underneath them were the scribes and the officials. Now, underneath the scribes was the majority of ancient Egyptians, who were the farmers who worked the land. Now, writing was one of Egypt's greatest achievements. Scribes used beautiful hieroglyphs on monuments and temples. For everyday administration, though, they used a faster script called hieratic. Because few people could read or write, scribes held great importance in Egyptian society. Now, Egyptians are famous for their monumental architecture. The pyramids built during the Old Kingdom remain among the most impressive structures ever created. During my reign, I built a magnificent temple at Deir al-Bahri, which still stands today. These monuments honored the gods and preserved the memory of rulers. Now, the pharaoh was more than a political ruler. He, or in my case, she, served as a mediator between the gods and the people. My duty was to maintain Ma'at, that sacred balance that kept the universe in harmony. To manage such a vast kingdom, Egypt developed a complex administration. Officials oversaw agriculture, collected grain taxes, and organized workers for irrigation projects and building efforts. At the top of this system stood the vizier, the chief official who helped the pharaoh govern the land. Egypt's economy did not use coins as later civilizations did. Instead, wealth was measured in grain and goods. The state collected surplus crops, or extra crops, and redistributed them to workers, priests, and officials. This system helped maintain stability across the kingdom. Egyptian art was meant to show a perfect and orderly universe. Figures were often drawn in ideal forms to reflect beauty and balance. Scenes in tombs depicted life, family, and work, so that these activities could continue in the afterlife. For many centuries, the meaning of hieroglyphs was forgotten, but when scholars discovered the Rosetta Stone, they were actually able to decode the ancient language. This allowed historians to read Egypt's texts and understand its history once again. Archaeologists continue to uncover ancient Egypt's secrets even to this day. One of the most famous discoveries was the tomb of Tutankhamun, filled with golden treasures and artifacts in 1922. These discoveries help modern scholars understand our civilization. Although thousands of years have passed since my reign, the legacy of ancient Egypt still endures. Our monuments stand beside the Nile, and our art, writing, and ideas continue to inspire people around the world. Hey guys, thanks for exploring ancient Egypt with Pharaoh Hatshepsut. This remarkable civilization thrived for thousands of years thanks to the Nile River, agricultural innovation, strong leadership, and a rich cultural tradition. From pyramids and temples to writing systems and monumental art, ancient Egypt left a legacy that still fascinates historians and students today. And through Hatshepsut's story, we see how leadership, geography, and culture combined to create one of the most enduring civilizations in history. And don't worry, we'll be doing a lot more videos on ancient Egypt and more specifically different parts of it. But I wanted to give you guys a good overview of ancient Egypt. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video.